Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. The most important relationship you'll ever have in this life is the one you have with yourself. I know, it sounds a little strange at first, doesn't it? You think, I'm already focused on myself. I wake up, I get dressed, I go to work, I handle my business. But let me ask you something. How often do you really focus on your inner self? I mean, really give attention to the most important part of your life, your mind, your spirit, your health, your dreams. The relationship you have with yourself is the most important one you will ever have. It forms the foundation for everything else in your life. Yet, in a world filled with distractions and pressures, many people forget to nurture this bond. We spend so much time and energy on work, relationships, and other obligations, but we often neglect the one person who will always be with us, ourselves. We look for validation from others, seek approval from external sources, and forget that the most important approval comes from within. When you prioritize your relationship with yourself, you are acknowledging your worth. You are recognizing that your happiness, growth, and well-being should be at the forefront of your mind. This doesn't mean being selfish or disregarding the needs of others, but rather understanding that taking care of yourself is not only necessary, but essential. The more you nurture yourself, the better equipped you are to show up for others in a meaningful way. Self-awareness is key in this process. By focusing on yourself, you begin to understand your own needs, desires, and limitations. You start to listen to your own voice rather than constantly seeking validation from the outside world. This shift in perspective allows you to make decisions that are aligned with your true self. It's about developing a deeper sense of self-respect and confidence and learning to prioritize what truly matters to you. It's easy to get lost in the hustle of life trying to meet everyone else's expectations, but the truth is that you can't give your best if you don't first give to yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't be the best version of yourself without taking the time to care for your own mind, body, and soul. Self-focus is self-focus, is self-care. Many people associate the idea of focusing on oneself with being narcissistic or self-centered, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful and necessary things you can do for your own well-being. When you focus on yourself in a positive, intentional way, you're not pushing others away or ignoring their needs. Instead, you're ensuring that you're mentally, emotionally, and physically capable of being there for the people who matter most to you. If you are constantly pouring out to others without replenishing yourself, you'll eventually burn out and have nothing left to give. Focusing on yourself is an act of self-respect. It's about acknowledging your own worth and understanding that you deserve to be cared for just as much as anyone else. This doesn't mean being arrogant or self-absorbed. It's about recognizing that you too need time, space, and attention to thrive. Just as a plant needs sunlight and water to grow, you need to take time to nourish your own soul. When you prioritize your health, mentally, physically, and emotionally, you set the stage for a healthier, more balanced life, which in turn benefits everyone around you. There's a common misconception that being constantly available to others is the best way to show love and care, but this is not sustainable in the long term. If you don't take time to focus on yourself, you risk running on empty. Think about it. How can you be the best friend, parent, partner, or colleague if you aren't taking care of yourself? The reality is, if you're not well within, it becomes harder to show up for others with the love, patience, and energy that they need from you. Self-focus is not about being perfect or doing everything on your own. It's about being aware of your needs and taking responsibility for your own well-being. In fact, the more you take care of yourself, the more you'll be able to show up fully for others. It's like the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. If your cup is empty, you can't give anyone else the best version of yourself because you'll be drained. But when you fill your cup by getting enough rest, setting aside time for yourself, pursuing activities that bring you joy, You are able to pour that energy and positivity into the lives of others in a way that is meaningful and sustainable. Self-care isn't just about taking a bubble bath or going to the spa. It's about listening to your needs, whether that's asking for help when you need it, setting healthy boundaries, or simply giving yourself the grace to rest when necessary. It's about being kind to yourself, even on days when you feel overwhelmed or less than perfect. We often judge ourselves harshly, thinking that we should always be on top of things, always be there for others, and always give 100%. But that's not realistic and it's not healthy. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back, take a breath, and focus on your own mental and emotional health. When you focus on yourself in a way that promotes balance and well-being, you are actually making yourself more available for the people you love. You become better at managing stress, better at communicating, and better at offering your time and attention. In this way, focusing on yourself doesn't take away from others. It enhances your ability to give your best to those around you. You can't pour from an empty cup. This is one of the most important truths when it comes to focusing on yourself. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of life, work, family, friends, responsibilities, and feel like you need to constantly be available for others. We live in a world that often praises those who are always giving, always doing, always putting others first. But the reality is, you cannot give your best if you are not taking care of yourself first. In order to be fully present and engaged with the people around you, you need to ensure that you have the energy, the mental clarity, and the emotional resilience to do so. That starts with taking care of yourself. When you are constantly giving, whether it's your time, energy, or resources, you may feel a sense of fulfillment in the moment. You might even feel like you're doing the right thing by being there for others. But eventually, if you neglect your own needs, you will run dry. When your cup is empty, you're no longer able to give to others with the same level of care, attention, and energy. You may find yourself feeling resentful, exhausted, or disconnected because you've given so much of yourself without replenishing your own reserves. Think about it like this. If you are trying to fill a glass with water, but the glass itself is cracked, no matter how much water you pour in, it will never stay full. This is what happens when you neglect your own well-being. You're constantly trying to give to others without fixing the cracks in your own foundation, and eventually it will take its toll. But when you focus on yourself, when you take the time to fill your own cup, whether that's by taking a break, engaging in activities that bring you joy, or simply practicing self-compassion, you're ensuring that you have enough to share. You're refilling your cup so that when you do give, you're giving from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Taking care of yourself isn't just about physical rest, although that is an important part of it. It's also about mental and emotional care. You need to give yourself permission to say no when something drains you. You need to prioritize your peace, even if it means setting boundaries with the people you love. Self-care means paying attention to your mental health, recognizing when you need a break, and giving yourself the space to recharge. When you do this, you begin to operate at a higher level, not just for your own sake, but for the sake of the people who depend on you. There's no shame in needing time for yourself. In fact, it's essential for your well-being. By ensuring that your cup is full, you're able to give more to those around you in a way that's sustainable. You're not giving out of obligation or exhaustion. You're giving because you have the energy, the patience, and the mental clarity to do so. And that's the kind of giving that truly makes a difference. So instead of pouring from an empty cup, focus on yourself first. Fill your own cup, and you'll be amazed at how much more you have to offer when you do. Investing in your mental, physical, and emotional well-being is one of the most impactful things you can do for yourself. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to overlook the importance of maintaining a healthy mind, body, and spirit. We get caught up in the rush of daily life, work demands, family obligations, social commitments, and we often neglect the core of our well-being. But when you make the decision to invest in yourself, you're not just enhancing your own life, You're setting the foundation for greater success, deeper relationships, and a more fulfilling existence. Your mental well-being is the cornerstone of everything. Without a healthy mind, it's difficult to navigate life's challenges effectively. Mental health is not just about dealing with stress or anxiety, it's about maintaining clarity, focus, and a sense of purpose. When you invest in your mind, whether through therapy, meditation, reading, or simply taking time to reflect, you are strengthening your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Mental well-being allows you to make better decisions, to approach challenges with resilience, and to maintain a positive outlook despite adversity. If you neglect your mental health, you're essentially setting yourself up to be overwhelmed by the demands of life, leaving you vulnerable to burnout and emotional exhaustion. Your physical well-being is just as important. The body is the vehicle that carries you through life, and if you don't take care of it, everything else becomes more difficult. Exercise, healthy eating, and adequate rest are all key components of maintaining physical health. But it's not just about looking good or feeling strong. It's about feeling energized and able to take on the challenges of the day. Physical health is linked to improved mental health as well. When you take care of your body, you increase the flow of endorphins, which naturally boost your mood and help alleviate stress. A healthy body is the foundation for a healthy mind. It's easy to overlook physical health, especially in times of stress, but investing in it is an investment in your overall well-being. Emotional well-being is equally essential, but often overlooked. It's easy to focus on the practical aspects of life like work and physical health, but emotional health is just as critical for leading a balanced, fulfilling life. Emotional well-being means taking the time to process your feelings, acknowledging and dealing with stress, and setting boundaries that protect your emotional energy. When you are emotionally well, you're able to form deeper connections with others, communicate effectively, and make decisions based on what's truly important to you rather than reacting out of stress or frustration. It also means knowing when to seek help, whether that's talking to a loved one, a counselor, or taking a break to recharge. Ignoring your emotions can lead to them building up until they affect other areas of your life. But by investing in your emotional well-being, you maintain balance and clarity. When you make the choice to invest in your well-being in all these areas, you are giving yourself the tools you need to live a more fulfilled life. Your mind, body, and spirit are interconnected, and when you focus on nourishing each of these aspects, you become stronger, more resilient, and more capable of facing whatever life throws your way. Investing in yourself doesn't have to be grand or complicated. It can be as simple as taking time to reflect, eating healthier, getting more sleep, or learning to manage your stress in healthier ways. The return on that investment, however, is immeasurable. It impacts not only your own life, but also the lives of those around you. Setting boundaries is one of the most important acts of self-care that you can practice. In a world that constantly demands your time and attention, it can feel like you're expected to be available at all times. But without setting boundaries, you risk losing your sense of self, your peace of mind, and your ability to function at your best. Boundaries are not about building walls or being distant from others. They are about preserving your energy, protecting your mental health, and ensuring that you can engage with the world around you in a healthy, balanced way. The first step in setting boundaries is recognizing your own needs and limitations. You can't protect your peace if you don't know what drains you or what brings you joy. Being self-aware is key to understanding where to draw the line. Sometimes this means saying no to things that don't align with your priorities or that take more energy than you're willing or able to give at the moment. It's not about being selfish. It's about being honest with yourself and others about what you can handle. Many people struggle with saying no, either because they feel letting others down or because they feel guilty about taking time for themselves. But the truth is, saying no is a form of self-respect. It's a way of communicating to the world and to yourself that your time and energy are valuable. Once you've recognized what your limits are, the next step is communicating those boundaries clearly. This can be challenging, especially if you've spent years saying yes to everything and everyone around you. But effective communication is key. Whether it's at work, in relationships, or with friends and family, expressing your needs in a respectful but firm way is essential. You have every right to protect your time, your space, and your well-being. It's important to remember that you don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you need a break, why you can't take on another project, or why you need some quiet time to recharge. Setting boundaries allows you to prioritize your own needs without guilt or shame. People who don't respect your boundaries may push back, and that's okay. You can't control how others react, but you can control how you respond. If someone doesn't respect your boundaries, it's important to stand firm and reiterate your needs. Over time, the people around you will learn to respect your limits, and those who truly value you will understand that your boundaries are a sign of self-respect, not rejection. The process of setting and enforcing boundaries can be difficult, especially at first, but the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. You'll notice that as you protect your own well-being, you're also teaching others how to treat you with respect. Boundaries are not only about protecting yourself from external demands, they're also about protecting your internal peace. There are times when you need to set boundaries with yourself, too. This might mean saying no to negative self-talk, setting limits on how much time you spend worrying about things you can't control, or creating space for rest when you're feeling overwhelmed. Taking care of your mental health means knowing when you've had enough and taking the necessary steps to recharge. When you set boundaries, you create space for yourself to grow, rest, and heal. You allow yourself the time and energy to focus on what matters most, without being constantly pulled in different directions. By setting and maintaining boundaries, you protect not only your time and energy, but also your peace of mind and your overall well-being. Boundaries allow you to show up as the best version of yourself for others and, most importantly, for you. Focusing on yourself doesn't take away from others. It enhances your ability to serve and give. Many people are under the misconception that prioritizing their own needs means they are being selfish or self-centered. But nothing could be further from the truth. When you neglect your own well-being in the name of helping others, you are doing yourself and them a disservice. The truth is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. When you focus on yourself in a positive and healthy way, you not only grow as an individual, but you also increase your capacity to support, love, and nurture those around you. When you spend time working on your own growth, whether that's physical, mental, or emotional, you are building the foundation for a better version of yourself. When you prioritize your health, your happiness, and your dreams, you're not just benefiting yourself, but everyone who interacts with you. Have you ever tried to help someone when you're exhausted or stressed out? How much good can you really do for them when you're running on fumes? You may think that helping others at the expense of your own well-being is the right thing to do, but the truth is, if you're not taking care of yourself, you won't be able to show up in a way that truly benefits anyone else. This idea extends to all areas of life. Think about your relationships. When you take the time to focus on yourself, you become more self-aware, more emotionally stable, and better equipped to communicate with those you care about. Relationships thrive when both people are healthy and self-assured. If you are constantly giving without replenishing your own energy, resentment can build up, and you may find yourself feeling drained or unappreciated. On the other hand, when you focus on your own well-being, you'll have more love, patience, and understanding to offer others. You'll be able to be present, truly listening and engaging in meaningful ways rather than simply going through the motions. It's also important to remember that focusing on yourself doesn't mean isolating yourself from others. It doesn't mean that you stop caring or that you become selfish. It means that you recognize the importance of taking care of your own needs first so that you can show up as the best version of yourself in the world. Self-care, self-love, and self-improvement allow you to be a better friend, partner, parent, or colleague because you are operating from a place of strength, clarity, and emotional health. The more you invest in your own growth, the more you'll have to give to the people who rely on you. One of the most profound things that happen when you focus on yourself is that you become more aligned with your true purpose. Too often we get caught up in doing things because others expect them or because society tells us that we should. We ignore our own desires, goals, and passions. But when you take the time to really focus on yourself, you uncover what truly matters to you. What brings you joy, what fulfills you, what ignites that fire within. You stop living for others' approval and start living for your own sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. This is where real growth happens. When you align with your authentic self, you become more grounded, more confident, and more effective in every area of your life. In your career, focusing on yourself means investing in your skills, knowledge, and personal development. It means taking the time to improve, learning new things, and setting goals that reflect your true potential, not someone else's vision for your life. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself professionally, you not only become more valuable in your work, but you also inspire others to do the same. You raise the bar for what's possible, both for yourself and for the people around you. Focusing on yourself may require tough decisions, and it might be uncomfortable at first. You may have to step away from relationships or situations that no longer serve you, or say no to opportunities that don't align with your true goals. But the beauty of focusing on yourself is that it opens up space for new opportunities, growth, and a deeper connection to who you really are. The more you invest in yourself, the more you unlock your potential. You will find that you are able to do more, give more, and love more because you've taken the time to prioritize your own well-being. Ultimately, when you focus on yourself, you are better able to serve others because you are stronger, healthier, and more emotionally balanced. You're not just existing for the sake of others, but thriving for your own sake. And in doing so, you become the best version of yourself, the person you were always meant to be.